opinions on n8n and make.com. They're great tools, and Zapier too. n8n has a bit more of a learning curve, but it is more powerful. Make.com is pretty good too. Zapier is simpler to use, but not as powerful generally. You can also self-host n8n, which is fantastic. So for anyone who is not sure what I'm talking about, these are automation platforms. They allow you to build automations, not just artificial intelligence automations, but general automations. So Zapier, for example, is probably the best known. You can build an automation for something like, hey, when a certain email arrives in my inbox from my accountant, send me a Slack notification and also send another email to my business partner to make sure he knows it's come in. So some kind of automation like that is an automation. It's a, if this happens, then do this. Obviously, you can get a lot more complicated. You can have branching conditional logic. You can have multiple steps. It's really useful for stuff like when you sell something. So when I sell an item via my store, it will do multiple things. It will add people to my membership site. It will send out an invoice. It will notify my business partner to send a welcome pack and to get them onboarded. It will subscribe them to my premium newsletter. Like, it would do all of these things for me that otherwise I'd have to do bit by bit, which is unsustainable. So automation platforms are great. n8n and make.com are also automation platforms like Zapier. They're a bit more advanced than Zapier. And in particular, n8n allows you to build agents. Now, the line between an automation and an agent is very blurred. There are a lot of people, especially on Instagram for some reason, who are selling n8n agents, which are not agents. They are automations. They are AI automations, which is fine. But agents is the new word. That is the hot marketing term. So everybody is jumping on board that train. What I would say with n8n, make.com, Zapier, the main thing is it has to be, whatever you're building has to be from the business's point of view. It needs to be valuable for the business. What's happening with n8n in particular is people are selling templates and saying, you can sell this template to hairdressers or to accountancy firms and make passive income because they're going to use this template and it's going to save them $10,000 a month. So you can charge $2,000 a month. Okay, fine. Yes, you can do that with automation, but it all starts with going into that business, finding out what their problems are, what's costing them a lot of time and money, and then automating those problems. Generally, you can't just go in with a blanket template and be like, hey, buy this automation, give me $2,000 a month. The people who are selling those templates, they're the ones who are making a lot of money. So right now it's the new hotness. It's a bit like drop shipping, a bit like, I guess, crypto investment. It's the new get rich quick scheme. So these are very powerful tools that are very useful, and you can build real automations that are valuable to businesses with them. However, just be careful because there's a lot of hype out there and a lot of people who are basically selling shovels in a gold rush. So ignore that stuff, but learn the platforms themselves and learn how you can build automations that are valuable for actual businesses and solve actual business problems. And then they're fantastic. Ken Clark, is agent mode in ChatGPT worth it? So I am not that impressed. I set up a task, was it yesterday? I wanted it to go and do some Instagram research. We put together a prompt, went through the task, asked me some questions. Okay, off I go. I'm going to research on Instagram. And I was like, cool. So I went off and did something else because that's the promise of an agent, that you set it working and then you go and do something else. You come back and it's done the work. I came back, I don't know, half an hour later and went back to the tab where the agent was running. And it was like, oh, I'm paused. I can't do it. I was like, oh, why can't you do it? It needed me to stay focused on that tab for it to be able to do the task, to go to Instagram and look around Instagram. There's no point having an agent if it can't do things unsupervised. So it's got guardrails on it to make sure that it doesn't make mistakes, which is always a problem with agents. They can get messy, but they've tightened the guardrails so much that this agent wanted me to sit and babysit it and watch what it was doing. So no, that's the whole purpose of an agent, is that I can go and do something else. I can have 5 agents going off and doing stuff for me. I come back, I check their work, and then I move on. If I have to sit and watch it on my computer, no, that's not going to work. So I wasn't very impressed because of that. The other reason is I've been using Manus for 6 months or so, and I've learned how to use it and I get good results from it. And I feel that it's still more advanced than the ChatGPT agent. So for me, coming from using Manus and finding it very helpful. Coming over to a more stunted version with ChatGPT, I wasn't very impressed because of that. I think, however, it will still be the most used agent because they have the distribution. They have the ability to eat Manus's lunch because they can do what Manus does, but 80% as well. And that's still going to be fine because they have the distribution. They're the ones who have now put agents into the hands of, I forget how many users they have, but tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people. Whereas going and signing up for another agent like Manus, there's friction there. So far more people will be using ChatGPT's version, and I'm sure it'll get better as well. But right now, I'm not that fussed. So follow up on the n8n and whether it's worth using. So you need more business sense rather than automation knowledge. You need both, really. So you need to know what to automate, if that makes sense. The actual automation is becoming easier and easier, especially because we can now design our automations using artificial intelligence. So in Zapier, for example, you can literally say, this is what I want to automate, and it will work out the pieces for you. Or you can do it in Claude and ChatGPT. You can say, hey, I want to automate a onboarding flow when I make a sale. It should do this and this. I'm using make.com. Help me to make that. And it will give you the instructions about how to create that automation. So the actual creation of the automation is becoming very easy. These are already quite easy to use tools anyway. They're mainly drag and drop. So the difficulty of running a business like this is working out what other businesses, what your clients, your customers want. If you can do that, then the actual automation is simpler to do. Yeah, it's about business sense. This is why when I talk to people who are in automation, and I run an automation accelerator with Brand Nat, who you might know, she's on TikTok and Instagram. We built it together. What we did when we built that accelerator was it's me talking about the business side and her talking about the automation side, and we bring them together. So we start with finding actual problems that businesses have, and then working out a basic version of the automation. And then Nat shows you how to build that stuff. And then we come back to me and I talk about marketing, landing pages, how you get this in front of people, et cetera, et cetera. The automation itself is the product, but you, in and of itself, automation is not a business. You need more for it to become a business. So yes, you definitely need business sense. What helps is building automations for an industry that you've already worked in, because you know what problems they have, because you worked in that industry and you therefore know what problems can be solved, which allow you to make cash. Jabana, are business owners able to automate themselves in the future? Running a business is hard. There are a lot of variables going on at the same time. It's just a very complex task because it's the real world. And building something that is valuable for human beings is difficult. I think we will have AI run businesses. I think they will tend to be, at least initially, on the less creative side. So there'll be AIs talking to AIs for things like procurement, for example. I need to order this many units of such and such. AIs will be able to deal with that kind of thing. The coming up with a business and working out the market and building it from scratch is a task that is incredibly complex. And this is why most businesses do not work. Anything that requires that level of complexity, it's just going to take a long time for AI to catch up, if it catches up at all. The other thing is, as soon as an AI can run that type of business, let's say it's a procurement business, for example, one that buys and sells, or it buys in and distributes to an industry. Let's say the AI cracks that type of business. What happens at that point is that it is no longer a worthwhile business to be in, because it will commoditize immediately. Because if the AIs have worked out, if one AI has worked out how to run this business, then all the AIs will have worked out how to run that business, or they will very, very quickly, which means that any profits, any excess profits within that business area will go to zero, because all the AIs will rush in and they will make the process extremely efficient, which is great for other areas of business. But the profit of that particular area that the AIs have cracked will go to zero. It is no longer a profitable business because there will be too much efficiency. The prices will collapse to the cost, basically. That's microeconomics. So we don't want to compete in a business area where artificial intelligences can perform the same tasks. It hasn't happened yet. Anthropic had their AI run a small coffee stand in their lobby, and it did horrendously. I think it made a massive loss. I think it given away money at some point. Like, it did terribly, but that doesn't mean that AIs will not be able to run businesses. I'm sure they will within the next 5-10 years. It's just going to be a question of complexity. So it's going to be humans will be running the more complex, the more creative businesses, and then AIs will be slowly taking up the more mundane and the more routine businesses at the bottom, much like work, but just on a larger scale with businesses. So I think you can potentially automate yourself, but if you can automate yourself, then that business has no value because everyone else can automate themselves, which means the prices will drop to zero as it becomes not even a commodity market, more than a commodity market. It'll become just a service passing through value without any excess profit at all. Out of all the platforms, out of all the automation platforms, what's the best one to learn? So I would learn n8n at the moment, probably make.com as well. Zapier, you can learn, but it is very simple. Like it's a very basic, easy to use platform, and purposefully so. They've made it that it can be used by pretty much anyone. n8n has the largest learning curve, which means if you're trying to start a business using that, then that's going to be the one that's going to be the most profitable for you, because most everyday people, everyday business owners will not be able to use it. So I'd have a look at n8n in particular. You can also self-host it, which is really cool. Cool. The last thing I wanted to show you was, so I'm always talking about Lovable. I'm very boring talking about Lovable all the time, but I realized I've never actually shown you anything. There we go. So I built this yesterday in about 5 minutes. I actually built this, I switched over to a free account to see what the free account is like right now, and I was able to build it on the free account. So if anyone is thinking about using Lovable, this is a good example. So I wanted to build a very basic website that acts as a lead generator. So I run AI workshops. I get paid $1,000 to $4,000 per hour to go and give AI workshops. It's good money. And I help people learn how to go and give their own workshops. So I wanted to create a lead magnet. A lead magnet is basically a piece of value that you give away in exchange for somebody's email. And the thing that I created was a tool that allows you to work out how much money you can generate by giving AI workshops. So you click through, there's a free assessment. I'll share the link for it. I'll publish it later today, where you choose your industry. So let's say my industry is finance. Next, what is the comfort level of my audience? I will say they have a basic awareness. What is my strength as a facilitator? So I'm great at facilitating workshops. I know the industry well, or I'm experimenting with tools. So I'll say I'm experimenting with tools, AI tools. What delivery style would I like to use? Hands-on workshop, 60 to 90 minutes. What is my location? I'm in the UK and my market type is private sector. And I want to do 1 to 2 workshops a month. And then it's okay, cool. And it works out all the numbers. And it says you can charge between £600 and £1,050 per session, per 1 hour session. So what's that? It's $1,000 to $1,500 roughly. And then off the back of that, you can click here to get a free resource pack, which includes a master guide, quick tool reference, demo, walkthrough, adoption, blah, 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 work through. And in order to get all of that, you need to give your email. So this is a lead magnet. I built this in 5 minutes using Lovable, using basically a prompt that I gave to it. It worked everything out and it built this for me directly. I'm sorry you can't see it on TikTok. I do need to work out how to share my screen on TikTok without buying a PC, but it allowed me to create basically, let me put it in chat. I think I can. No, can I not chat? I can't chat here. I'll post it later. It allowed me to create a website in 10 minutes, which now allows me to capture emails, which is pretty amazing. Obviously, I could have built this myself manually, but it would have taken me a couple of days. Maybe it would look better. Maybe I can still talk to Lovable and get it to redesign. But if you haven't used a vibe coding app, I just want to highly recommend you just go to Lovable, or you go to Bolt or Replete or whatever, and you just type in something that you want to build. If you've had an idea on your list, or I'd love to build a time tracking app that helps me do such and such, just go and type in that idea on a vibe coding app and see what it comes out with. Because I was able to build this on a free account as a test. I do pay, but I used a free account. And it was able to create something that I can now deploy today and start to collect emails with. And it was able to create it in 5 minutes. So I'm going to create another 10 of these, get them launched, start running adverts behind them and use them to collect email addresses, which then drive my business. So if you haven't looked at vibe coding for marketing, you're like, again, this is a call just to go and try it out, because it is magic. It's a really cool tool. I'm not associated with Lovable. I am so I won a competition with them. It was about a month ago. Lovable shipped. I was the person who sent the most people their way to sign up for Lovable shipped. I shared my buddy code, and lots of you went and signed up, which is awesome. So they were going to fly me over to San Francisco for the kind of final announcement and the award ceremony. That is no longer happening, but they are flying me to Sweden. So they are based in Stockholm. So I'm going to be in Sweden, I think it was at the end of August. So I'm very much looking forward to that. 5 days in Stockholm, which would be good. So I'm looking forward to the cinnamon buns and a lot of coffee. Gentle Shrimp is saying, what's the difference between Lovable and Make? So Make.com is an automation platform. Lovable is a vibe coding platform. Automation platforms allow you to connect lots of different pieces of software together in order to make them talk to each other, pass information, and then create workflows, basically. Lovable allows you to create software from scratch using natural language. So all the vibe coding apps, you do not need to know how to code. It helps, but you do not need to know how to. Instead, you talk to it as you do ChatGPT, and it will create software based on your description, which is really powerful. And the ChatGPT is getting better and better and better. So when I used these a year ago, they weren't very impressive. They would make huge mistakes. They would be full of bugs. They wouldn't understand basic instructions. But now you can put in a prompt, one prompt, and it will just one-shot whatever you're trying to build. So they are extremely impressive. And I would jump on this bandwagon. This is one of these things that I don't think is overhyped and is worth checking out, even if you don't know how to code, especially if you don't know how to code. This is exciting because it allows non-technical people to build basic software, which that's new and very cool. Lila, welcome to Sweden. Yes, I'll be there at the end of the month, end of August. Very much looking forward to it. And it's also a lot closer. That was the problem. They were going to fly me to San Francisco, but coming from London to San Francisco, the jet lag, it takes a day to fly there, then there's jet lag, a day to fly back. There's more. It just takes up a huge amount of time. So last time I was in Vegas, that happened. I went to give a 1-hour talk in Vegas. I got paid $4,000 and good money, but it's incredibly disruptive flying all the way over there, working for 1 hour, then coming back again. So at least Sweden is nice and close. It's much closer than west coast of America. So I'm secretly glad. I also get to see the head offices, which should be cool.